This is Charlie Parsons for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. We are in a lovely little manor somewhere in Dublin. It's looking very posh. I'm sat down with two of my favourite people in boxing, Jamie Moore and Chantelle Cameron.
Extremely posh, isn't it?
It's posh.
Really posh. You actually look
I
like
feel
you
posh.
blend in. Yeah, you got your posh coat on and that. All your hair
Man's
tied up and
crossed.
that. Your earrings in. You like really posh today. I've got a trackie on, Salford style.
With your little shorty bag as well.
A real grafter bag.
Look, let's talk about it. Katie Taylor, Chantelle Cameron, the first time two current undisputed, undefeated champions go at it in the four-belt era. I suppose, Jamie, to you first. As a trainer, I mean, this is everything. I remember sort of Chantelle's frustration sometimes in the past. You think, you know, are we going to get those shot? And now we're here at the press conference ahead of history in Dublin.
Yeah. Mate, amazing to be a part of it. You know, a part of boxing history. And Chantelle's always wanted the Katie fight, but I understand, you know, it has been a little bit frustrating along the way, but, you know, as Eddie's just been making points there, saying these type of fights, there has to be a reason to make them, and sometimes it's better just waiting that little bit longer for it to come around. And like Chantelle said before, this is probably coming at the most perfect time for us.
Chantelle, I suppose I'll swap it to you there. I know there would have been times where sort of, I suppose you don't second guess yourself because this is your livelihood, this is everything you want, but when it's not always going your way and you're not quite getting the fights. I know McCaskill last time out, what an occasion that was, and now Katie Taylor, just when you think it can't get bigger, it does.
Yeah, you don't get bigger than this, and I think everything happens for a reason, and I've had a roller coaster journey really from the start of my pro career to where I am now. It's been a few ups and downs, but yeah, everything does happen for a reason. And I think especially Jamie's always said, when I have had the hump with boxing and been a bit like pissed off and frustrated, he just says like trust the process. And the last couple of fights, you couldn't have been a truer saying, because things haven't been going what I wanted them to. And then out of nowhere, like got the McCaskill fight, and then building up to April the 1st, I was getting a bit frustrated and whatever, and speaking to Jamie and Nigel, knowing that I was getting frustrated again, then pops up Katie Taylor on Instagram and get this fight. So yeah, it couldn't be a truer saying for me, trust the process, and that's what I've done.
I suppose respect to Katie Taylor also, because she came out instantly and sort of said, look, let's do it. I want to prove my greatness, and obviously you want to, as a team, prove your side of it. I suppose at the end of the day, she wasn't going to let this opportunity miss. She needed to fight in Dublin. You're going to do it. You don't worry about the away crowd, anything like that. You're sort of here to cause the upset as a team and make your own history.
You've got to give Katie Taylor a huge amount of credit, because there's so many easier fights she could have took, especially on a homecoming, and you know, to more or less guarantee a victory on a homecoming, she could have picked so many other people. And in my book and in many other people's books, she's picked the toughest fights out there by far. So we've always said all the way along, ever since Shan come to train with us and we've been talking about the Katie Taylor fight, we've always had a huge amount of respect for her. But at the same time, I've always believed in Chantelle, and I believe that she can beat anybody in and around her weight division. And I still believe that. And the longer time's gone on and the more she's proved herself. Now, people keep talking about Katie being on the slide. I'm not sure she's on the slide. I just think that as time goes on, sometimes people get used to your style, your rhythm. They start exploiting little weaknesses as time goes on. So, you know, we're not in a position yet where Chantelle's been around that long enough for people to exploit the weaknesses. Doesn't mean she hasn't got them, but I'm not sure she's got that many, I'll be honest with you, because that's why I'm so confident in her ability. And you know, as good a fight as I believe this is going to be, you know, I've always said Chantelle will beat Katie Taylor.
The smile on Chantelle's face says it all. Every time I'm looking at you, I go to you, and I just sort of get the feeling of how much this means to you both to be sat here. The back and forth on Instagram, there was a little bit of them in an hour as to whether we would actually see the fight. Obviously, financials going to pay. I mean, it's all well and good, both fighters saying they want to do it, but there are obviously other hurdles. We've overcome them now, Chantelle. What was that process like? I imagine it was a bit every morning waking up, checking your phone, oh, nothing's happened yet, and it just I suppose, annoying until we finally got somewhere with it.
It was pretty nerve-wracking, thinking, oh, please, just get this fight over the line. And it was a bit of pressure for the 48 hours that it took, or a few days. But the team's come through, so I'm just thankful for them as well for making this happen. It's about me and Katie wanting to fight, but it's also down to the whole teams around us, my team, her team, and everyone involved. It's just, they've made a great fight and give two women the fight that they both wanted.
It's in her backyard. It's the first time that boxing's come to Dublin and this level in a long, long time. That don't faze you, I imagine. You know, you relish that. You take that in your stride. You've taken the opportunity. It will be loud in there. It will be an experience, an atmosphere. I think.
Apparently, the arena's made in a certain shape so that the decibels are the highest point they can be when the crowd's the noise in there or something. So no pressure like.
Yeah, I was just about to say, not to add pressure on or anything.
It's not like going to be bombarded in there on the night. It should just be nice and chilled.
Hopefully no one throws
like a theatre.
Yeah, hopefully no one throws anything at me, and just walk in with some earplugs in.
Nigel's there anyway. Nigel.
Oh yeah, not yet. When you've got Nigel there, you ain't got to worry about anything. But yeah, no, I suppose onto that point, away from the fun and games, it's going to be fucking loud in there. It is going to be something naked. I suppose even us as media, we will have never experienced anything like it. Maybe MSG for the Serrano fight, but you take that in your stride, and I suppose you sort of go in with an underdog mentality a little bit even.
Yeah, and I think I need to enjoy it as well, because at the end of the day, I'm going to look back at this time in my life and think, wow, like, look what I've done, and look where I went. I went into Katie Taylor's backyard and boxed her, and I think that shows that I'm a true fighter, and I've like proven myself as well. So for me, I'm just going to relish in it. I'm actually excited for it. I think as much as the crowd's going to be 95% for Katie, I just think, so what, at the end of the day, when the bell goes, it's me and Katie in there, and I'm in there to do my job. So I'll just be tunnel vision, block everything out, and I do that anyway when I fight. When I walk in, I kind of just literally looking at the ring, thinking, time to go to work. So the rest of it is just, don't faze me.
Look, Jamie said about sort of people saying that she's on the decline. We can't say that for a fact, because only time she's had close fights with Delphine Persoon and Amanda Serrano, they're absolute elite level opposition. I suppose on the other hand, though, maybe you look at certain things in the Amanda Serrano fight, maybe the Persoon fights as well, and what do you take out of that, and what do you believe as a team you can both implement to sort of make it go your way?
I just think that people talk about Katie showing vulnerabilities, but I think that's a little bit disrespectful to the opponents, what have caused her to make those mistakes. Amanda Serrano was a phenomenal fighter, you know, and naturally a little bit smaller, but has always been a puncher, and she had Katie in trouble, but Katie come through it. So even though these aspects where you look at Katie in certain situations and go, okay, we can exploit that, you've also got to look afterwards then and go, well, look at the way she came back. So then I go, okay, but I've got Chantelle, and I know that in them situations, Chantelle won't let her off the lead, or I anticipate she won't, and 100% confident she won't. But it's about getting her into those situations, and that's the difficult thing, because she is very smart, and I believe, certainly in the Persoon fight, I don't think she took her as seriously as she should have, and maybe that's why she sort of went off it a little bit from the midway point, because it was a lot harder fight. I've been there as a fighter myself. I know when you're involved in a hard fight, what you wasn't anticipating, then it becomes 10 times harder than it should be. So she'll be mentally ready for Chantelle. It doesn't mean that she'll be able to cope, but it means she'll be more ready than she was, I think, for Persoon.
Well, I was going to sort of reiterate and touch on that. We could tell from her message on Instagram that she sort of doesn't see Chantelle as any sort of easy touch or anything, and almost sees it as the hardest challenge possible away from the Amanda Serrano fight. Yeah,
Katie could have had a title defence against someone who's not as good as me and not as dangerous as me, but at the end of the day, like, all credit to Katie, she wanted to have a homecoming and have a proper fight, and that's what I'm coming over to Dublin to do, to have a proper fight, but spoil the homecoming.
You speak of proper fight, both Persoon fights and the Serrano fight, it's almost been toe-to-toe for time. We know how much of a good boxer Katie Taylor is, but she can get thrown in the deep end and she can fight in at the deep end, but maybe that's also where her vulnerabilities show a little bit. Is that where you sort of look and think, we can dominate, get in the sort of in the zone and sort of dictate a little bit? She's like, she ain't giving nothing away.
She's like the T-2000 in Terminator, so she's like programmed. So she doesn't make decisions. She just follows instruction. So like, whatever we plan to do, she'll just go, okay, no problem, and just follow it out.
Just do it.
She's an absolute machine. It's like
nods.
Yeah.
I've said it loads of times when she's in the change rooms, like half an hour before the fight, and when she's on the ring walk, I look at her and I think, fucking hell, where have you come from? Yeah. It's like she just changes, and I love that because that means your mindset's focused on the job.
So there's no last minute doubt lingering in or nothing like that.
Exactly. And listen, like every fighter, she has them niggling doubts all the way through camp and stuff like that. Every fighter has it, but then I've never known anybody as confident on a ring walk ever, and it's understandable because I see what she does day in day out, and once she knows once she's in that situation, there's not going to be any stopping her.
Chantelle, I'm gonna ask you both one more. May 20th, two undisputed champions collide in the four belt era. Not to put any pressure on you, but this is massive. I think you know that. Everyone knows that. I imagine you will expect your hand to be raised and sort of create history for yourself.
Yeah, it will be raised, and still.
Yeah, she'll be more than ready. It's going to be an unbelievable occasion. Probably the best women's fight you ever see, and Chantelle comes out on top.
Jamie Moore, Chantelle Cameron, thank you very much both for your time here in Dublin today. We look forward to the fight and the press conference today ahead of what is just an unbelievable fight, May 20th, Dublin, Ireland.